Hello, hello, hello. Anya Keister here, and for today's video, I'm going to talk about my three favorite movies to watch every Halloween season. Now, every Halloween, I like to watch some new horror films or some documentaries or anything like that. So, if you have suggestions for good movies for me to watch during the Halloween season, let me know. You can either tweet at me, I'm at Anya Keister, send me an Instagram DM, or comment down below, which is going to be the easiest way for me to keep track of this. But I'm always looking for new movies to watch during the Halloween season. Just not anything too gory, as I often find torture porn kind of horror movies to be a bit too much for me. That being said, let's move on to my three favorite Halloween movies to watch. Now, when I say this, I don't mean that they're necessarily the best movies. I just mean that they are my favorite movies to watch during the Halloween season. Now, all of these movies have a very, 90s nostalgia to them, so I'm riding that millennial wave of just keeping on with watching all the things that made me happy when I was a kid. But that is fine, because I feel like these movies have stood the test of time. Some did not age super well, but they are still great. So let's go right into it. So my first selection is the 1996 goth girl classic, The Craft. For those of you who might not know, The Craft stars Robin Tunney, or Tunney. I'm still not sure how to say her last name. I was obsessed with her for a while. I still don't know. I'm gonna go with Robin Tunney, Feruzia Bulk, Rachel True, Neve Campbell, or is it Neve Campbell? Why don't I know how to say people's names? And also Skeet Ulrich, sort of, kind of, yeah. If you're not familiar with this movie, like I said, it is very mid-90s in its style and aesthetic and its music. This movie was really important for me. I want to say I saw it the year it came out, and I instantly was like, hook, line, and sinker, sign me up. I want to be a witch. Memorized the lines from the movie. I went to New Age shops and bought crystals and herbs and spell books and all that other stuff. I bought the soundtrack and I put on a cassette tape so I could listen to it in the car. I was just all over this movie. Basically what it is it's the story of four girls who meet up and create a coven, or fuse a coven together and start doing magic, and dark magic can lead to dark things. So this isn't horror, it's a drama, like a supernatural drama, I would say, with some scary parts to it. But for me, the thing that was most important, and why I think this movie has stuck with me so much and that I watch it every year during Halloween, is that so many movies during this time period in the 90s were all about, let's take this outcast and make them look more mainstream and trendy, and look how great they are now. This was a movie that was like, hey, look at these four outcasts. They're still outcasts, but they have power, and let's just follow what they're doing. And that, I think, was really important to me as a kid who felt like an outcast. I don't necessarily think I was, in retrospect, but I felt like an outcast. I'm still bitter to this day that when I was 18 and I had a goth boyfriend, he told me I could never be goth because I liked color so much. And I get it. I now have a pastel office, but there's a part of me that really connected to that sense of macabre and existentialism and dark themes and concepts and tones and stuff like that. And so The Craft for me was a movie that really touched on that. And so when I watch it, I'm watching it because it's great acting and an interesting story, and I still love the soundtrack to this day. It's also a movie that kind of takes me back to that point in my life when those are things that I really enjoyed. So if you haven't seen The Craft and you're looking for something that's a little spooky and definitely goes on that witch vibe, I suggest checking out The Craft. The second movie that is one of my Halloween favorites to watch is the 1998 movie Practical Magic. When it comes time for me to watch Practical Magic, I will make myself a cup of hot cocoa and bring 3 boxes of tissues, because boy ever do I cry during this film. For those of you who may not know, Practical Magic tells the story of this family of witches where they are cursed that if a man falls in love with them, the man will die. And we follow two sisters as they grow up and their paths diverge, and something horrible and traumatic brings them together. The thing that I love most about this movie to watch during the Halloween season, along with the fact that it's not a spooky one, so it's good if you have people over and you don't want to watch a horror film, because not everybody does. But what I love about this movie is that this is a movie that shows the power of female relationships. Now, I'm a queer lady, so when I say relationship in this sense, I don't actually mean like relationship, although I'm sure some of the witches in that coven in that movie were. What I mean by this is that this is a movie that shows the power of female relationships, whether it's between mother and daughters, between sisters, between aunts and their nieces, or just a group of friends that get together. This is a movie that is strong with showing the power of femininity and women. And that's a thing that when this came out in 1998, I was going to the Lilith Fair and I was like, yes, give me this good witchiness. It is very late 90s. The fashion is very hit or miss, but there's something that is so great about it. And every time I watch the movie, I see another person in the film that has gone on to do amazing stuff. Like, oh, hey, look, that's that actress that she's on The Americans. Cool. I'm glad to see that she has continued. Like I said, I cry a lot during this movie. I always still look forward to watching it. Even just thinking about it now, I am excited for my annual viewing of it. So, once again, if you're looking for something a little bit more lighthearted, check out Practical Magic. And my third favorite Halloween movie to watch every year, and I'm realizing now that all of my Halloween movies are about witches. And I think that that speaks to something very crucial that was going on. When I was around the age of 12 or 13, I got really into witches. And I don't mean like being a witch. That came a few years later with the movie The Craft. I got really into the history of witches. I picked up, there's a Fear Street series that I read when I was 12 that started in Salem, and it follows like this line of witches. I'll post a picture of it here. I'm sure it looks very 90s R.L. Stine. But I became obsessed with the history of witches and learning about them. And it got to the point where like I made my family take me to Salem so I could see it. And Salem in the 90s was not super commercially. I have friends who recently went and it looks like they have definitely built up a lot more of the witchiness of the town. But when I went there in the 90s, there wasn't a whole lot that was going on there. But that ties me to the third movie of my favorite Halloween movies to watch every year, which is the 1993 Disney classic, Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus tells the story of a brother and sister who moved to Salem, and on Halloween night, the boy lights a candle that brings back the Sanderson sisters, a trio of sister witches who suck the life out of children so that they can live on. That's a lot more serious sounding than what this movie is. This is a slapstick film about three witches who are brought back who sing and dance and make good innuendos. This is another movie that has some really great star power in it, along with the main characters with Bette Midler playing Winifred. Her version of I Put a Spell on You will always be like my favorite version of I Put a Spell on You. You have Sarah Jessica Parker like in her mid-career playing Sexpot witch lady. She also does some singing in it, and it's also fairly good. You got Catherine and Jimmy, who was big at the time, doing some great comedic work. The chubby sidekick is often overlooked when going back and remembering a film, but the chubby sidekick character typically has some of the best jokes, and I think she does in this movie. But you also have, I'm gonna ignore all, like, Thora Birch is cute in it, and like all those other kid actors are great in it. But this movie also has Doug Jones, who's playing Billy Butcherson, Winifred's ex, who comes back to life as like a zombie character. This is the same Doug Jones that goes on to become like Abe Sapien and the ghosts in Crimson Peak and does a bunch of motion capture and is the merman in the Oscar-winning film The Shape of Water with that good fishy butt. That's the same guy. This is the man who's trained in being able to use his body to be so expressive and we get to see that in this film. This is some of his earlier on work, and he just only got better from there. So, stellar cast, good soundtrack. CGI leaves something to be desired. Some of the jokes do not age very well, but it's a movie that I love to watch. I recently got to show it to somebody for the first time, and they were like, this is delightful. And that's what I think the movie Hocus Pocus is. It's delightful. Like I said, I like to watch some scary stuff during the Halloween season, but give me some Hocus Pocus, give me some practical magic, give me the teen angst of the craft, and I am just so happy to celebrate Halloween in that way. So that's going to be it for me today. I realize now that we're already on October 6th, and I haven't gotten to watch any of these movies yet. So, because I'm making these movies for you all to watch. So if you're watching them, thank you. You make it worth it, the fact that I'm not watching Hocus Pocus right now. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. So once again, if you have any recommendations for good Halloween movies you think I should watch, they're not too gory, let me know. Comment down below. And as always, do all the YouTube razzmatazz and like and subscribe if you want to get updates about when you can see my next movie. Like I said, we're trying for one YouTube video every day for the month of October. Follow just to see what happens, because I only have 15 ideas written down and I need another 16 to go after that. So let's see what's going to happen. But that's going to be it for me today. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you get to watch some of your favorite Halloween movies this year as well. Bye.